Okay, I don't like sports. Okay, I am very clumsy in sports. I am a nerd. I have never played sports,
Sure.
and I have no interest in sports. Okay, in that time. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is the? Yeah, but what is this? No, is this football club? What football club? Real Madrid. Well, I know that there was a club called Real Madrid, but for me, it's just a name, no?
Right.
So I asked my in that time girlfriend, that is now my wife, they have offered me this job, and they said, you are stupid. You have to accept this thing. This working here to this company is like working for one of the most important companies in Europe, no?
Right.
So I go.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sporting Global podcast. And today I'm here with Oscar. And Oscar, how are you? How's life these days?
Very well, very well, very well. Winter and Christmas is approaching, so we are going to start having fun and eating a lot.
No,
as always.
And I'm glad you said that, because I woke up today with like snow pouring down in Malta. So I was like, whoa, Christmas is here, Christmas is coming.
Yeah, that's the real Christmas. That's the real Christmas, a white Christmas.
Yeah, no, it always makes it a little bit special, when you have that white feeling. But we're not here to talk about Christmas. We're here to talk about you, about your experience and what you've done in the beautiful world of sports and some other things as well. But I just wanted to kind of start off and just take us a little bit through how your journey in the sport industry began. Just get that starting point out.
Yeah, it is this type of serendipity story. I am a former advertising executive, okay? So I study business and marketing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right out of school, I go to work in advertising, okay? The thing is that in certain moments, the money start going out, and I ask where the money is going. They say to me, the money is going to the internet, okay? This is the beginning of the 2000s, okay?
Right. I'm
a little old, okay? So I decided to jump to digital. I go to work for a small digital agency, okay? In that time, very, very pioneer. Mm-hmm. And I get crazy about digital. So I start very soon. The moment that Facebook appeared, I started in the United States. So I have a Facebook account because you remember at the beginning, you only need to have these emails to enter Facebook of business schools in the States. I enter in Twitter, I start blogging and stuff like that. And I write a digital column because a newspaper asked me to do this, okay? So in that time, when you put digital, my name appeared, okay?
Right.
It appeared in the things that I write, okay?
Yeah.
What happened? I came to live here in Spain. I opened a subsidiary of our agency that we have in Latin America. I opened it here. Right. But 5 months after I arrived, a headhunter called me and said to me, Mr. Ugaz, we want to offer you a position to manage a digital of a football club. And I said, how do you have find me? We have find you because we have looked on the internet and we have find the things that you say, and seems that you are intelligent and more or less well versed in this thing. So that's the thing. And I said, well, I have to be very honest. Okay, I don't like sports. Okay, I am very clumsy in sports. I am a nerd. I have never played sports, and I have no interest in sports. Okay, in that time. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is the? Yeah, but what is this? No, is this football club? What football club? Real Madrid. I know that there was a club called Real Madrid, but for me, it's just a name, no?
Right.
So I asked my in that time girlfriend, that is now my wife, they have offered me this job, and they said, you are stupid. You have to accept this thing. This working here to this company is like working for one of the most important companies in Europe, no?
Right.
So I talk with the executive of the club, the ones who were later my bosses, and I have meetings, interviews, and I was very honest, okay? I said, I don't like sports. And they say to me, it doesn't matter. We want objective people, okay? We want people who are good at what they do. So it seems that you are one of them. So that's how I arrived in the world of sports, no? I am not a fan to go and sit down and watch games. I don't do that. Okay? But what I am fascinated about is about the sociological, the cultural, and the business aspects of the sector. It's something that fascinates me. It's very, very interesting. The sports itself, no.
Yeah.
But all the things that are around that is a fascinating artifact to look at.
Right. And it's sort of interesting, right? In a sense where you have a club like that, knocking on your door. In a sense, it's sort of you have to evaluate that offer properly. In a sense, even though it also proves you don't have to be a fan of the sport or liking the sport, because at the end of the day, you're not there as a fan. You're there as a professional to do a job and making sure that they're providing results.
And that is something that we can talk later, no? Because nowadays there are a lot of people who want to enter in the sector, and they say, why do I need to know to enter in the sector? Of course, you have to have a sense of the sector and understand. But what you need to do is to be very good at what you are.
Right.
Football or sports are like any business. They will need lawyers, they will need financial guys, they will need engineers, they will need different professions, okay? Because it's like any company. So you have to be good at what you are, and also you have to have a good grasp and understanding of the sector, because the sector is the entertainment sector, and it has some particularities, okay? They sell intangibles, okay? So that's certain particularities in that. So you have to know about that, but you have to be good at what you are, your actual profession. Okay?
100%. But there's one thing, like I'm kind of like taking from like this first, your first answer, and that is sort of like your way of being sort of like an early adopter, right? So it's sort of like talking about, when new technology emerges and arrives, like you have like, the early adopters, then you have the mass, and then you sort of like have like everyone else, kind of like, follow through.
Diffusion of innovation,
right?
That's cool.
And this is very important, especially, coming into that, digital age, and like, new solutions coming up. And I guess like, just as a side question here, what's sort of like been, I guess, fascinating and pulling you into sort of like being that early adopter of technology? Because I think like, that's just interesting in itself, because most people are not, those early adopters.
No, yes, it's a thing about curiosity, no?
Yeah.
The thing is, when I enter in this world of the internet, I have the luck to work with people who know about that, who were my associates, and people who know about this and teach me about this, okay? But I have also this natural interest in things. I am curious by nature, okay? Anything new that appears, and I want to test things, no? Even now, today, that I am a little older, I still keep anything new appear, and I want to test it, see what is happening. So I think that is a curiosity that I think that we need to nurture that curiosity, okay? We need to feed that curiosity and keep curious all the time, no? And that will allow you to adopt and enter and discover new things, and be very open to, for example, innovations and things that are appearing in the market. That I think that is useful. But the thing that have to be together with this curiosity is also you have to be rigorous, okay? Because not everything that appears is important, okay? You cannot be jumping to all the things that appear. You have to be curious, but also have to be critical about the things that you approach. Critical from an intellectual point of view, from a business point of view, etc. Okay. Yeah. So curiosity together with rigorosity. That's important.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I want to kind of like just speed forward to today's kind of like, as a strategic director at Atomikal Marketing Digital. And obviously you've been working with all kind of sectors, and including sports. And I guess like, just from your perspective of what are some of the key differences in demand and expectations have you seen, from the sport industry?
No, the thing is that the world of professional sports, and most importantly, well-developed in sport properties, are properties that I don't have the needs to other brands. In terms of these sport properties are so famous that they don't need to be known. They are already known.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So, for example, a new credit card or a new airline or something like that, you have to position your brand, let people know, people get excited about the credit card or the airplane. That is not going to happen because people don't get excited about credit cards or airplanes.
Right.
So, for example, football, baseball, basketball is not about that. You don't have to sell that concept, okay? People have buy that thing and are fascinated by that thing. A football club like Real Madrid or Barcelona never going to buy advertising, because the advertising is the players that they have and the thing that they do every Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday if they are playing the Champions League. So that's the main difference. The sport properties don't need to fight for sport properties or well-known sports, okay, of massive sport. Right. They don't need to fight for brand awareness, as a difference to other sectors or to other companies. And that pushed these sport properties to be more focused in monetization. Why? Because they have already get used to business models that work. Right. They know that, for example, if they go to the broadcasting rights, they are going to sell them for a lot of money, because it's something that people is demanding. That people love live football or live sports. People, they know a business of sponsorship, because they know that there are brands who want to have this brand engagement with their clients and using sports to make that. Licensing, they have several business models that work. Okay, so to any new thing that they approach, they try to find monetization, and they are obsessed with that. Because they already have business models that work. No, when you are launching, for example, a new soap, you are Procter and Gamble and that. Well, you know, it's soap, but first of all, you have to reach the minds of the people, reach brand awareness, and people need to know that the soap is there, and the soap is more clean your clothes and make them more white. Okay,
right.
Football, sport don't need to do that. Okay, so they are more focusing in monetizing.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And obviously you see like a lot of ways now, especially with technology, of how, you know, the clubs are, well, how do we monetize our fans, right? And with the technological solutions, you have obviously, you know, the tokens, the NFTs, like a lot of things, you know, coming up here.
All this new stuff.
But you know, we might have to save that for another episode, I think, you know, just diving into all of this stuff. But I wanted to also touch upon, you know, obviously, you know, being an associate lecturer at the Real Madrid Graduate School, what are some of the key challenges you and the program are teaching, you know, the upcoming sport leaders of the industry?
Well, I for example, the thing that I go when they invite me, and I go every year to talk there to several classes and groups. Right. I focus in innovation, in digital, because it's the thing that I know is my business. So the thing that I put all the time and I stress a lot is the necessity, the thing that we said before, be rigorous in the analysis of the things, of the opportunities, of the threats. Because nowadays, you know, digital is all around, everything says that digital is going to change everything. That's true, digital has changed a lot of things, no? Right. But not everything that is digital, not everything that is innovation, not everything that is these new things that appear are going to affect the industry and the sports in the same way, okay? And not all of them are going to be transformational or disruptive or something like that. Because if we focus on that, we are going to be jumping to any new thing that appear and running like hens without a head, okay? So the thing that we focus a lot is in having a strategic point of view. And all the time try to provide tools to the students to identify what is important, what is not important, and how, for example, to approach digital innovation, how to approach from a strategical point of view, a digital strategy or a strategy of digital transformation or of innovation, and also explain that not all of these things are easy to say, because everything say, oh yes, we are going to digitalize everything and that's going to be great, we are going to have this fun engagement. That's something that is very difficult to make. That have a lot of implications, for example, from management points of view, for legal points of view, for financial points of view, for metrics point of view. It's not something like, okay, let's open a Facebook page and let's have Facebook, TikTok, link, Instagram, and all these type of things. And okay, we are going to do it. No, let's put NFTs. Okay, let's buy NFTs. It's not like that. Right. It's not as simple as that, because also you have to work with very traditional organizations that have business models that are already running. Right. It's the typical problem of innovation, trying to introduce innovation in traditional organizations, in incumbents that already have a business model. So we have, for example, in the NBA, in Real Madrid, we have several business cases that we discuss around it. In my classes, for example. We discuss business cases, we discuss situations, and we try to provide the students with tools that will help them to take this decision from a strategical point of view. I don't teach, for example, how to create a Facebook campaign or how to create a campaign in YouTube, because YouTube and Facebook already explain that in their pages, and you can go and you can watch thousands of videos about that explain very well, and they don't cost any money, okay? If you go and you pay for a good MBA, we are going to help you to think like a business manager, because you are studying a master in business administration, okay? So that's the thing that we are going to focus on. So it's a strategic approach and give strategic tools.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important, you know, point as well, that, you know, there's a lot of, you know, technical solutions and transformational things happening, you know, every day, and they're coming up, you know, new trends, new, tools, new solutions. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, these, you know, fresh young minds that are coming in and just like, you know, you almost being soaked in, but a lot of these, factors coming into place. And I guess like, you know, your job alongside with like the Real Madrid Graduate School is like, you know, making sure that they can think critical about all of these solutions and understanding, okay, it's like we talk about, like, of course, like, TikTok, Facebook, all these, social platforms as well, where, even if one brand A has it, doesn't mean it's going to work for brand B. And then it's like, depends on, also like the market. What is your audience? Like, how is that going to look like? Does the platform even make sense to you in terms of what you're doing? And so it's a lot of factors involved in having that way of like teaching them that critical thinking, to understanding like, yes, everyone is on TikTok, but should you be there? Or like, everyone is on Twitter, should you be there? And if so, why is it, what kind of content or situation should you do? And I always think this is fascinating too, because
but also something that is important, because aside of that, always all of that reduce to the same question: how this provides value. Okay.
Right.
And I am talking about concrete value. I am talking about value in terms of actual money. Okay. Making money, saving money, or learning how to make money in the future, or leverage actual businesses. Okay. Right. So at the end of the day, we say, okay, you want to be in all these social media. Okay, how this is going to beneficial the bottom line of the club,
exactly,
or of the sport property? Because you know what, creating all these platforms and manage all these platforms cost money. Oh, they are free. Oh no, but you have to pay social media managers, and you have to produce content, to put content in this platform. So at the end of the day, you are investing time and money of people. Right. So that is going to provide us a return or no? How? Why we are doing this? So, because, for example, in the MBA, in the masters that we have in the club, in the business master that we have in the school, Real Madrid Universidad School, we force people to make business plans for their final dissertations. Okay? So most of them do business plans because that's the thing that we want them to do. Okay, create something for a startup in the world of sports, or create something for a club, or create something for a sport property. But something that is a business plan. At the end of the day, you have to do an Excel, a profit and losses, and say, okay, how you're going to make money and provide value to the club. Right. And in most cases, the jurors of this final dissertation are part academics, but also are part people that came from business. Right. So these people who sit down and listen and say, that's not true, because that's not the true market. We force them to make those dissertations and go out in the market to ask. And they have their first contacts with the market, because they are going to talk with real companies. Right. We make that approach, and they go and talk with real companies. Yeah. And they make more or less real business plans. No business plans that you are sit down in the classroom very comfortable. Right? I think that the work works this way. No. Right. Go out and ask, because if you sit down in the classroom and say, I think the work works this way, and then you go the final day and present the work, the people from the industry that are your jurors are going to say, that's how not the work operates. No, exactly. Yes, and your grade is going to depend on that. No? Yeah. And your learning process, you have to go and touch the market. Right. And I think that's a very key thing that you're touching upon as well. For of course, like that's how your structure at the program works. But it's not always, I guess, in a sense, every school or every program that people go to that have this, philosophy or mentality of teaching as well. So it's sort of like, have that in the back of your mind, for you that are listening to this now and just thinking like, oh, I want to, start a new business, or I want to introduce a project, or I want to do this and that. Then you have to go out and talk with people. You have to research and see like, okay, is it actually like the way you're thinking? Is the way that even the data is showcasing, right? Just sort of like present that and say like, well, is this the reality? I remember like, when I was doing like all the groundwork for Sporting Global, like we had to talk with HR managers, universities, sport business professionals, and we had to and compare markets as well. Like I was comparing Norway to the US in the beginning to say like, okay, are the needs and the challenges the same? And so you kind of like, bridge upon that as well, and sort of like realize, okay, there is something here. But if you don't do that work, it would just be assumptions. And yes, that's the problem. That's the problem, because, for example, when you are studying maybe you undergraduate, maybe they will allow you to make assumptions and make a 5-year business plan. Mm-hmm. When we do a master program that's more evolved, for example, and we say to you, no, you want you to make a startup business plan or an entrepreneurial business plan for an organization, okay? Right. And we want to force you, for example, to teach us that there is an opportunity, that there is a market. Yeah. For example, there is a market big enough. Don't bring us dissertation and ideas that are, for example, things that are not going to provide money. Oh no, we are going to make 5,000 euros in the first year. That's not a business, that's a hobby. Okay. So we say, no. Think about stuff that is relevant.
Right.
Because then you're going to go with that relevant idea to talk with the market. And that's also interesting, because I say this all the time to the students. You make this dissertation and we force you to get out of the room and don't talk about assumption. Go and talk with the market. You are going to have your first contacts in the market. Maybe you are going to contact potential future employers of you.
Right.
Hey, you remember me? I am Ole, the guy who came to you 6 months ago and talked about this interesting business plan. Hey, by the way, I'm looking for a work. Here is my CV. At the end, you have already made a contact, no? And people know it's not another CV. Oh no, it's this guy, Ole Martin, that came 6 months ago with this idea about the club.
Right.
He asks interesting questions, okay? So maybe he's intelligent, you know, let's call him and have an interview.
Yeah, no, and one, it creates that personal relationship. Two, it showcases that one, you did a proper work first time you met. You know, all this stuff is like, it creates a credibility, which is going to be important for you on the next step. And
make you think. And the important thing is that makes you think.
Right, 100%. And I wanted to just go back a little bit back to like when you were working for the football club Real Madrid for 4 years. And if you wanted to like just touch a little bit upon like some of the, I guess, key tasks and the projects you were working on during your time there, because I wanted to like just bring that up now as sort of like just sort of like looking back of like what you were working on, and then talking a little bit about like what do you see as some of the upcoming trends that are happening now, because I feel like that's kind of like a very interesting, you know, stage of, okay, what happened there, where are we now?
Yeah, of course. No, well, when I arrived at the club, the club, this was 2007 or 8, I remember. Yeah. The club had, the only thing that the club have in digital, have a website that is very old. It was being designed in 2004 or something like that, very old design.
Yeah.
The system to operate it was terrible. They don't have statistics, they don't have nothing. So they were in a project to try to revamp that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So aside from me being in the part of the commercial and the marketing side in developing this new website together with all these different languages, I proposed the idea and I implement the idea and the necessity to the club that they need to enter into social media, for example. Okay, so all these things that enter in Facebook, Twitter, all these new social media that was appearing at that time, it was me who promoted that idea to the club. I was also responsible to create the e-commerce store and strategy for the club. The club don't have an e-commerce store. I was the one who negotiated and implemented and then supervised that store, that business. Mm-hmm. Also, for example, the club was in the project to create an online video channel proposition. The club don't have online video channel in that time. Mm-hmm. They used to have something that doesn't work. And all the clubs in that time have this. I was responsible for that project. I discovered that that business is not going to work and that the appropriate thing to do is to have a more strong presence, for example, in YouTube, under the contract of content producer in YouTube, for example, the contract in which you create content for YouTube, or you have the capacity to reclaim the content that has been used of you, that is property of the club, to maybe sell advertising. Is the content ID and the partner program of YouTube that all YouTubers do, but we are talking some years ago. Right. In that time, Real Madrid was the first football club that signs who signs a partner program content contract with Google, with YouTube.
Right.
And this was Real Madrid, and I was responsible to negotiate it and to sign that contract and manage then the business that was created around that. I developed a license, a product that are licenses for new digital licenses, social media games. Several of these type of products, but I implement several. Well, most of the things that are from digital perspective, I more or less put the club in all these things. I lose all my hair doing that because you know the club is a traditional organization, and at the beginning they are afraid of these things. They don't believe in them. It's a normal reaction. Obviously, you have to convince them.
Right.
And then, well, I developed all this, and in certain moment, well, it was. We will do all this innovation in very short time, in 4 years, and then it started getting more difficult to make real innovation because already we have implemented all the first steps. So that's a moment when I decided to part. We, the club, and I decided to part together and go away. No? But that allowed me the opportunity. That thing that I do in the club, establish a little bit the name that Mr. Ugaz has implemented this digital strategy for Real. So because this market is not as big as you may think, at least in Europe, no?
Yeah.
So other sport properties has asked me to consult with them, and during all these years, I have been consulting based on that initial experience, and then the other things that I have been doing. No? I have been working with other properties like AC Milan, Sport 5, the VTB League in Russia, EuroLeague. So I have been doing projects for them. So that's the story. No?
No, but it's great, and I think it just brings up to the whole point of now how heavily involved also the tech companies, right, are merging into the sport industry. Obviously, you mentioned Google like back then, but like now you see YouTube partnerships like Twitch, like Facebook, like going heavily into all these sports properties directly, and TikTok as well, create their own TikTok sports, just to kind of be aware of what was happening in the sport industry. It's a very important marketplace, and so important for the brands and also the clubs to be present, right, to utilizing their fan connections. And I guess in a sense I don't want to touch too much about of course the esport industry itself, but it's just even that technological market and how that has opened up a different kind of audience for sports clubs is also extremely interesting. And I wanted to bring this up just because over since your time in Real Madrid and up until now, it's been a rapid growth, right, of digital media utilization in the sport industry. And what are some of the upcoming trends that you foresee, in the sport industry from this side?
Well, you have the hot things, no, the things that we don't know if it's going to be something real or a fad. No, you have now the NFTs and all this type of stuff, blockchain. That we still is something that we need to see if it's going to really be an opportunity or transformative. No, it seems that right now, we have these very big deals that NFL is closing these NFT deals and they are selling 500 million. Okay, yes, but that is something that is sustainable, is something that is pure speculative. We need to, when something is a lot of buzz and buzz and buzz and buzz, I all the time say, okay, go analyze it, but be cautious about that. No?
Right.
Real things that I think that are changing and really is important for the sport properties, that we discuss this a lot in class, for example, and also with clients, is more concrete things related to the actual businesses of the clubs or of the properties. For example, one is the broadcasting rights. Now, broadcasting rights, the price of the broadcasting rights, we have to be very honest, are getting flat. Okay, they are not growing as fast and at the same rate that used to be 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Now, every 3 years that are renovated, the prices start getting flat. What it is meaning? This is meaning that there is a change in the patterns of consumption of people of sports. Why? Because nowadays we have far way more options to consume, not only sports, but many other content, okay? 10 years ago or 20 years ago, the only thing that you have is a live sport, 2 TV shows, and maybe the soap opera, no? Nowadays, you turn on your computer or this thing, and you have millions and millions and millions of options.
Everything, whatever you want.
Okay. And you have a tailor-made consumption. Also, because most of these things, you don't have to get compromised with these products or services. You go today and you subscribe in Netflix, you watch All the Crown, and then you turn it down, and you go to HBO, you watch another type of things, and you are jumping and just paying for the thing that you want. Okay.
Right.
So that it conflicts with the usual business of broadcasting rights. That is, okay, I sell you the whole season, the whole package. People, this phenomenon in the States, car cutting. That model of cable, for example, people are cutting the cable because people are saying the only thing that I need is pay a cheap, high-speed internet connection, and I will watch what I want to watch.
Right.
Because I have all this content nowadays that is very easy to distribute it, and I can watch something very specific, you can watch something very specific, and the cost of distribution of that, because all is digital, is almost zero.
Yeah.
Okay. So nowadays the pattern of consumption is changing. Okay. So that is important because you say, okay, this may be the future of OTT, for example.
Right.
OTT and this pattern of consumption of OTT is going to affect the world of sports, the world of something very important, that is broadcasting rights. How the broadcasting rights are changing, okay? We are going to be able to produce enough content to keep the fans interested in the future,
right?
Okay. Or for example, we need to, and we're going to say something that some people are going to like, no, we need to start thinking about super leagues. You know? Why? Because if people are only going to watch what they want and they have the technological and the pattern consumption capacity to do so, because that's the way that they consume, they're going to pay for the whole season. Maybe they want to watch just 3 or 4 games. And guess what? These 3 or 4 games that they want to watch are for top football clubs, for the blockbusters.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't want to see play Real against a lost team, I don't know from where.
Right.
So the thing that, for example, Mr. Perez, President Perez said some months ago when he presented the Super League are true. Okay? He was not lying. Okay? Maybe the way that the Super League was presented was not the correct one. Maybe it needs to be other ways. Okay, but the actual fact that the thing that is the substract of that idea of that need is very real. Okay, there is new patterns of consumption. People are paying less attention to football, not because football is getting boring, because there are many more options now.
Right.
And people have other patterns of consumption, and that affects the 30% of the income of most sport properties. I mean, in some cases more. That is broadcasting rights.
Yeah,
that's something that deserves a very, very important look. Have to do with technology, have to do with patterns of consumption promoted by new technologies, by digital, and have to do with something very important, very concrete. That is mostly 30, more or less the 30, and in some cases 40 or 50% of the incomes of many sport properties.
Right.
Something that deserves a look, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
That's some of the discussions that we have. Now, of course, we talk about NFTs and blockchain, but let's go to the concrete stuff.
Right.
Let's
like
talk
really,
about this.
not just the buzz and the hot topics, and just like what is actually happening. And I wanted to I was just listening to this and obviously thinking about like the Super League and sort of like obviously the big brands here, but if you look at it from I'm just thinking, like more on the minor clubs kind of side, like, smaller leagues, not necessarily, the top 5, but some of the others, right? With that is have a less of an audience and still kind of like, how do they innovate, in order to keep their audience and their fan base? Because I think one of the challenges, and I see this a lot in Norway, which annoys me a lot, because I don't think they adapt their technology and their content in a sense, in a way, for the new generation. I think it's too targeted towards like how it's always been, like, people go to the game, they're there, but it's like, well, we have so many options now, especially the new generation. They're going to be much more demanding. How do you live up to their expectations and making sure that they choose this game over, watching something else on Netflix or whatever kind of solution? And I just really wanted to hear your kind of 2 cents more from a, I guess, smaller league club situation.
To be very honest, and sorry, this is going to sound very cynic.
Yeah.
But digital is not going to resolve that problem for little sport properties. Little sport properties are going to need to play and are going to need to work in another circuit. Okay. Because that's a circuit of smaller properties, of smaller teams. They are not going to aspire for the top leagues in terms of attention.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Sorry, it sounds cynic, but it's true. This is how we all pay with our money and with our attention. If you have the option of only paying for the matches that you want, let's be honest, which are the matches that you're going to pay for?
Yeah.
You are not going to pay for watching a lost. Well, maybe there's a group of fans that watch any game that you go and see a very lost 2 teams playing, okay? But most of the people, the big mass, is going to pay for the top thing, for the blockbuster.
Right.
Okay, and that's the dynamic of the world of entertainment. Okay, there is a professor of Harvard that I follow very much. I also have go to Harvard, and there is this very popular program that he managed, Professor Anita Alberse.
Yeah.
The business of entertainment, media, and sports. Okay, the BEMS. That this sports property. This course in Harvard that all the football players go to listen, Piqué, and I have go to that course. Okay, and I read the books of Professor Alberse. Professor Alberse says the world of entertainment is the long tail, but we have discovered that the long tail, the only who survive are the head of the tail. Right. There are not enough money in the long tail. Okay, that's why, for example, why did the most popular movies are Marvel, for example. Why Marvel costs so much money? Because Marvel is an intellectual property that costs a lot because drives a lot of attention.
Right.
Why they pay you so much money for Mr. Tom Cruise? Why the movie studios pay so much money to Tom Cruise? Because when you put the name Tom Cruise, you say, well, maybe the movie is going to be interesting, no?
Right.
Okay. That's when you put Real Madrid and you say Real Madrid against this. Okay, you say, well, it's going to be interesting. But is this Real Madrid against a lost little team or the last team in the league? And that day you say, okay, I need to watch this. I have other things to watch.
Right.
And if I have to pay for the whole thing, I am going to pay for the whole season, or I am just going to pay for the Clásicos or for the derbies or this type of stuff.
Right.
I only want to watch that because that's how I consume that. Mm-hmm. So there is most of the money and the attention is concentrated in the head of the long tail.
Yeah.
And that's the blockbusters.
Yeah.
So you need to create blockbusters to maintain. And let's not be hypocrites, okay? Mm-hmm. That's how we are paying. I don't like this way how football it behaves. Yes, but it's the football that you pay. Because let's go and see the ratings, and the ratings of the matches are the top ones out of these top guys playing with top guys. Mm-hmm. Let's not be hypocrites, okay? Of course, you need to find another mechanics and another ways to maybe help grasp football and don't kill all the sport properties, okay? But there needs to be a way to do that. But let's not be hypocrite. We are not going to resolve this saying, no, let's eliminate the blockbusters. People are going to eat whatever that we show them. No.
Oh, for sure.
That's not the way.
Yeah, no, it makes
It's a very passionate discussion. Huh? In classes in the NBA, in Real Madrid, we have discussions like this because the students, that's the problem. Huh? The students start thinking, yes, but this is going to kill the football and the grassroots. And they start talking and thinking like fans. And that's the thing that we say to them. Okay, wait, don't think like a fan. Think like a business manager that you are going to need to manage this stuff.
All right.
Okay, don't think like a fan, because the moment that you start thinking like a fan, it's obnubilate it's blurred your judgment. Mm-hmm. Think like from a business perspective. Think from a business point of view. Okay. And they cost them a lot to do, but that's the thing. That's how you need to think, because it's
critical thinking.
It's a master in business administration.
Right.
And you want to be a manager.
Makes total sense. And I mean, like at this point, it's kind of like, perfect to just, you touched a little bit about like, the critical thinking, the, sort of like, going out there, talking with people and sort of like, introducing projects, but doing kind of like the dirty work and stuff like that. And if you wanted to like, provide, I guess, like some final key tips for any, student that are looking for a career in sports and perhaps, with a goal of one day working for one of the best teams in the world, like what kind of tips would you give them?
Oh, I will say that you need to be good at the thing that you are. Be good at the thing that you are. You are a good businessman. You have studied business administration. Be good at that. You have studied physiotherapy. Be good at that. Okay. Be very good at the thing that you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's important. Okay. Right. For younger students, get the better grades that you can have. Get the better, study a lot, and be very good at what you are. And don't think that I study this and have nothing to do with sports, or they are going to pay attention. Okay. No. The sports industry has get very big, very professionalized, and they need all type of professionals. Okay.
Right.
Okay. If I am not going to say the name, but the managing director for a big football club that I know, I'm not going to say any names, is a psychology major. Mm-hmm. His second hand, the person who worked with him, I'm not going to say any names or any big football club, study pharmacy. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, is you need to have a way of thinking, okay? And that's what education gives to you. Educate yourself, have the better grades that you have, and be very good at what you are. And then, second thing that you have to do, I'm going to say three things. Second thing that you have to do is be very careful what you do online, okay, in your presence, okay, in social media and all this stuff, okay, because nowadays hiring executive, headhunters look at your presence online, and people make judgments about what they see. Okay, the same thing that you do when you look for people online, you make judgments.
Yeah,
you have to accept that other people is going to say the same judgments about you. Okay, So be careful what you create. Create things that are relevant, okay? Write about something, comment about, entering conversations online about relevant things. Right. Don't be just discussing stupid things and just shouting at people. No, produce relevant content online, relevant presence online, okay? Right. That's a very important thing. And the third one is develop your soft competences, okay? That means with that, learn how to work with people, okay? Teamwork, for example. This is typical, everyone says to you, but it's important, okay? Yeah. And the other thing, for example, learn how to talk, learn how to present an idea. Let's talk how to discuss something, to have discussion, debate. This sometimes can be difficult, for example, for certain types of education. Anglo-Saxon education is great on that, okay? Education here, for example, in more Latin countries like Spain, Italy is more difficult because they don't teach you to do that, okay? But that's something that you have to surpass that. If you don't have the luck to study in an Anglo-Saxon educational system, force yourself to present, force yourself to don't be timid, to go outside and learn how to talk with people, how to present, how to discuss, okay? We have this problem, for example, with people from Asian countries, students that came and in Asia, they have this culture, okay, I don't give my opinion, I don't talk. I listen to the teacher because the teacher is this figure of authority and I shut my mouth. You have to overcome that, okay? I know that is your culture, I know, but you have to overcome that. Or well, you can go back to Asia and work all the time in Asia, but if you want to be out in the world, you have to do that, okay? So be good at what you are, study a lot, okay? Soft skills, they're very important. And also the third one, be very careful about what you do, about the presence that you project. Okay? Nowadays, it's not about this and about this. Let's take pictures in front of the school doing this. Everyone can do that. That's easy. Right. Okay, that's what everyone do.
Critical thinking, you know.
Yes, have an opinion. Be a critical opinion. Go online and discuss, or write something and publish something. Don't be afraid to do that. That's the way that you need to do it. Okay. Express ideas longer than 140 characters, okay? Because you cannot express an idea in 140 characters. Go further than that. Go further than that.
Right. No, awesome. Well, with that, Oscar, I would like to thank you, so much for a fun conversation, for sharing your tips and insights with a very fruitful, journey that you had in and outside of sports, and we're excited to have you part of this as well. And if you liked the episode, make sure to like the video, comment as well, and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to sign up at sportingglobal.com for free. Sign up through web, but also through our apps, iOS and Android. So check that out. And as always, Oscar, thank you once again. And I don't know if you're aware, but we have like this kind of like podcast tradition that we do with everyone. So we teach you a little bit Norwegian. So we
okay, I'm going to do on the floor.
Norwegian, just a tiny bit. So with every video we do, we always finish with "Vi snakkes," which means see you later in Norwegian. So that's what you have.
Vi snakkes.
There you go. Perfect. Great job. You're practically Norwegian. All right.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Oscar.